Hello, this is Latoya Bollinger, and I've come back to introduce Bring Me to Life, the first episode. This is a series, and I'm writing it in chapters, but it's T for Trauma Type Violence, also known as Teenage Violence, which is for 13 teen ages 13 and up. Sorry, but the short summary: Jenny, the eldest of Phoebe's girls, goes out to the cemetery. She remembers when her father, Coop, warned her never to go near the mausoleum. Now that Jenny was grown and 21, she was sure he wouldn't mind. One night she sneaks out of the house, but was to her surprise she would find an old friend. The man seems to know more about her mother than Jenny even did. She finally runs away from him after he says he loves her. She's totally freaked, but she never tells anyone until 2 days later when the same man appears and is punched by Coop, her father. Jenny is frightened and runs away. Just when she needs someone the most, the same man appears again. He holds her and tells her he loves her. She falls for him. Can you guess who this old friend is? Hint: he's half demon. This is a series for the Charmed children. I do not own any of the Charmed characters, scenes, anything containing Charmed or the WB's characters. The only things I do own are the characters I have created, which is Kevin, Joe, Michael, John, Damien, Derek, Wyatt, Chris, Melinda. No, I do not own Wyatt or Chris. I just remembered that. But the name Melinda I do not own because that is part of there. But I do own Chrissy and Casey. Henry Jr. I do not own. Katie, Lucy, and Jenny I do own. Jenny, Katie, and Lucy are Phoebe's children. Melinda, Wyatt, and Chris are Piper's children. Chrissy and Casey and Henry Jr. are Piper's children. Paige's children. But Katie's boyfriend is Michael. Joe is Lucy's boyfriend. Michael is human, and Joe is a white lighter. Right now, I'm going with Damien and Derek as Chrissy and Casey's boyfriends. Right now, Henry is alone. He has no one, but Jenny and Cole will end up being together. As you can tell, the half demon, but yeah. Here I go. The first chapter is called The Mausoleum. The manor was still, so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Just to let the silence rest, there came a click and a clack of heels. The sound was not loud, but loud enough to hear. You see the young woman as she slowly walks up to the front of the stairs. She turns to face straight. She looks at the Hallowell Manor's front door. She wishes so much her mother, Phoebe Hallowell, could burst through them once again. She knew though, this would not ever come true. You look at her face and see her long brown hair, fine as rich chocolate. You continue down to see her chocolate brown eyes glisten with water. She felt the pain of her mother yet again. You continued down to see her luscious lips as pink as a salmon, her cheekbones matching. She arched her lips into an awkward smile. You continue to go down and view a red spaghetti strap shirt with white trim. Then to view your final view of her, you see black pants and a pair of 6-inch heels. Then you see her face soften as in the close distance you hear, "Hey, Jenny." The voice was sad and slow. Jenny turns to see her cousin Melinda, Piper's daughter, standing on the stairs. Her eyes were slightly red. Jenny completely turned to face her. She sees the long brown sleeve shirt and blue jeans to be comforting for Melinda. She smiles as she views the young teenager's long brown hair and rich brown eyes. Melinda had her hands in her pockets. She slowly pulls them out and turns to see orbs appear underneath the chandelier. Jenny turns as well as a vision of her mother came to memory. Suddenly she sees the flashback played before her. Phoebe Hallowell was standing softly on her feet. She had her hands on her daughter's shoulders. Jenny was 20 at the time. Jenny looked at her mother, tears in her eyes. Phoebe bit her lip in sadness as well. She looked at her and smiled. "Honey, promise me that you will help your father and sisters and the whole family if me and your aunties don't make it home tonight. Please promise me," Phoebe said as her voice fading. Jenny looked up at her mother. "Mom, I don't understand," Jenny said sadly. Phoebe closed her eyes and opened them. "It's difficult to explain, sweetie. Just please promise me you will if we don't make it back." Phoebe's voice gave out. Jenny nodded. "This I promise you." Jenny's voice faded as her mother gave her a kiss on the forehead. "Goodbye," Phoebe said, taking one last look, then walking towards the door. The flashback turned to dust as the area was filled with orbs. Casey orbed him, Paige's daughter. Casey smiled as Melinda and Jenny walked over to her. They stood there, not saying a word, for a few minutes. Then Casey decided to talk. "So," she said as Jenny looked at Casey. "Why?" Jenny said, referring to their mother's death. "It was 3 days before my birthday. She didn't even say happy birthday," Jenny said. Tears began to roll from her eyes. Her pain entered as Melinda put her arm around her. "They thought they would make it back like every battle before." Melinda's voice broke as Casey put a hand on Jenny's shoulder. She is and always will be alive in our hearts. But no matter how much we chant or wish, it will not bring her back to life," Casey said sadly as she thought of her own mother. Her eyes began to water. They all then held each other tight. That is the end of the first part of this chapter. I will make another video with the second part, and then there will be a third part and a fourth part and a fifth part until I get done with the first chapter. Then after the first chapter, I will inform you guys again when I will be starting up the second chapter. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll show you some more charming news later. Goodbye.